This illustration deals with the hierarchy of risk control methods. In accordance with 70E 110.1H53 Informational Note 2. The purpose of the change was a renumbering and a revision that took place to the Informational Note 2 to 70E 15.H3, and an effort to clarify the procedures to be used when performing a risk assessment and to identify the hazards before work is started by referring user to the Annex F, which will help with examples and aid the user of 70E in a big way. Now, looking at Note 1, electrical safety program should identify the hazards before work begins is outlined in 70E 110.5H53 on page 16. Also see NFPA 70E Annex F on page 69. Now, Note 2 just gives a suggestion that 70E 110.5H3 Informational Note 2 1 through 6 and the Annex F should be reviewed carefully. Of course, you can find the Annex F on page 16 and 69. The sections on page 16 and the Annex F is on page 69. And the hierarchy risks may include these items, and that's on page 70, the left-hand side of the page. And like elimination, could you maybe lock and tag it out as an example? Substitution, maybe you could use a 120 volt control or even maybe a lower voltage, such as maybe 24 volts. The engineering controls is basically guard. Maybe use insulating blankets, some kind of insulating tubing that would isolate the hazard. Be aware. Know the hazards involved with the equipment that you're working on. Administrative controls on page 70 of the Annex F. It basically says make sure that you plan, have your briefing, and get the tools and material that you're needed, and then select the appropriate PPE. Now notice 110.5H3, items 1 through 6 on page 16 of 70E will outline these items, but they are defined and explained in the Annex F on page 70 on the left-hand side of the page.